Albert Milligan, Debbie Smartt, Ryne Eichman, Sean Vaughn, and Abraham Rahanu here. And yeah, this is Proclaiming Your Vision. And we were just, we were just speaking about how we were speaking about Egypt and how we have our friend Andrew Bartis opening up potentially an endeavor there, and I always imagined his work to be just an amazing like worldly experience, and I hope to see him go there and in many other places. And so for today's show I have a slideshow, but before that I just wanted to say happy potential Earth Day. I thought that today may be Earth Day, but it's 4/22, but I'm not going to post another video until May. So this is the official Earth Day video. And how has what's the weather like over there in Bakersfield, Bakerstown?
Bakersfield, the weather is beautiful here. I'm in California, so about 2 hours north of LA. 70 degrees all day, crystal clear skies. Couldn't be any better.
Yep. And Debbie, how's it in Tenino?
Rainy and cold.
Yeah, similar here in Maryland, DC area. It's been crazy winds, a little bit of sunshine poking through, then rain, a lot of different flavors. But we're like in the 50s, 60s. And how's it up in Connecticut, guys? Brian?
It's cold. It's just today got cold, but it was actually pretty sunny today. But it's been pretty cold up here in Guilford, Connecticut, right near New Haven, Connecticut. And Sean's here too, in the other room.
Yes, I am.
Okay. Awesome. All right. I'm gonna screen share and we can get started with the slides. The slides. So Proclaiming Your Vision, the first concept that I wanted to, the first joining of words that I wanted to share is high definition presence. And I use that color purposefully because I feel like I wanted to just accentuate it, because we talk about presence, but when I came up with the joining of high definition and presence, it really kind of created a deepening experience for me, where it was the difference from practicing meditation or practicing acceptance practices or awareness practices, and then just being out and then seeing that in motion, like just being in a very crowded area and still being able to sift through a whole crowds of people and still be like completely as if you were sitting in your meditation chair, and you're kind of like being like Neo from The One kind of thing, and just kind of having this very simplified clear vision for what you want, no matter what's coming at you. And I had like an intense moment, at a bar that I went to, where my cousin, he was guiding me through it, and he's a nightclub owner, and he had, there was a moment there where he was forcing me to just be present in the most commotion, energetic environment, and it was just like a mindfulness practice at the bar or the club. And so I saw a glimmer of a muscle that was being formed, and I kind of labeled it HD presence in that moment. And what do you guys feel like about that joining of words that I invented there? Albert? HD presence.
Repeat that. You broke up just a little bit towards the end.
I was saying, what do you feel about the conjoining of the words HD, high definition, and presence? Like as a term, like what is your first impression?
first impression to me is that everything is technically high definition.
Mhm.
World a little bit different than most people look at it. With being conscious, very aware of where I am, what I'm doing, who I'm talking to, and people's reactions to what I'm saying. And to me, that gives a high definition or a presence of who you are and your surroundings. So that me.
Thank you. Yeah, that's exactly how I would describe that as well. Everything is already in HD. It's just interesting how we perceive high definition, that phrase, or what that means, because defining something kind of means limiting something. You know what I mean, in a way. So yeah. Anyone else want to speak on it? On high definition presence?
Yeah, I liked
Oh, okay.
you know, doing that in different situations where, you know, it's not a consciousness situation. You're
Yeah.
going to a club or something. You know, like
Yeah.
I like when you go out into everyday environments with people, and then you'll just focus on your presence. But before we had HD cameras and high definition TVs, we had lower definition cameras. But either way, the whatever was being recorded still is in that pristine definition, and you doing high definition would just be you going higher into your expansion of what you're actually filming or what you're perceiving in the moment. So there's always a pure definition of something before it's even defined. But you can go to these places that usually it's like a low vibration thing, or you're not going to be focusing on consciousness, or you're going and playing pool, or going to drink, or you know, a bar, or whatever.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
I
you
mean,
can do that, and it's really cool. I just wanted to comment on that, like bringing your consciousness exploration into normal environments, and then watching how the
right.
consciousness around you is also doing it, you know, interacting with your co-creation.
It's so funny. It's so funny. So Sean, I want you to comment on this like reflection that I have, that I had like while I was experiencing that particular experience um, uh, where I had this HD present moment. I like my eyes just started scanning everyone without me doing anything. You know what I mean? Like it literally looked at every single energy in the room, like without me doing anything. And it was like an auto, like almost like a when your eyes are in REM, like in dream, and it starts to like uh it just starts to look at everything on its own. I guess it's like my heart was just communicating, and my brain was like completely out of it. You know what I mean? And I just wanted to see what your comments were on that. Like, what do you kind of sense from that?
That's something that I've been delving into in the different amplifications and suppressants that are in the body for experiential bodies of sensing organs, of experience of different types of energy bandwidth that are perceivable by the human body, and relay information that's translated in the sense that we have, and that can be picked up in the extrasensory amplifications of different, you know, sensing equipment, and like HD vision, where you're getting huge visualizations at the extreme, like with huge lucid dreaming and astral experiences, and the imagination technology amplified in light codes in the third eye to the max, as well as clear audience where you can see hear through walls, or it's amplified to a greater intensity. Same thing with your emission, like emitting and receiving in presence and experience. So you can give off a certain presence that's greaterly perceived by others, even in a luminescent way, if you so choose. That takes quite a bit of a lot of working on it, though, because there's a lot of beings in the dominating control system that don't want people to emit such a powerful presence that can change people just by their perception of them. But it can be done. Does that make sense?
The very,
If you
very
can
high
describe
definition.
yeah, if you can describe, if you can expand on that more, I would like that. But we can move on to the next slide if it's up to you.
I don't. You know, if anyone else got a comment on it, that's fine.
Yeah. Cool. That was awesome. So there's an I am statement that really has helped me recently was especially when delving into like Sean's videos that he's releasing heavy and Andrew's materials and his long webinars is like this I am proclamation of I am an I am presence that believes in my existence, or I am an I am presence that believes in my being, or anything else that's like in flow with that. And what that has opened up for me was being able to create my own prayer and proclamation with the full force, with the full life force and the full layers of all of the I am statements that I've made, doing Andrew's work and doing other contract revocations that I've made my own self. And this morning I actually did I used an old recording of myself doing the whole revocations and doing both the grove, the patriarchs and the matriarchs, and it was an amazing experience. I was able to see the root. I was able to visualize the roots, and I was able to visualize all the aspects of it. And one of the I am statements that I wrote down in my notes after I did the meditation was, from the Grove of the Patriarchs, is I'm embodying the very source of the masculine energy Earth Mother wants to create on our surface. And that was a powerful, and I just realized, you can take, and Andrew wants people to take little pieces like that, little cuts, and then just allow their imagination, or like whatever they can hold in their current mind frame that's very light, like something like that. Or for me that was very light, just saying I'm embodying the very source of the masculine energy Earth Mother wants to create on our surface. I've never heard these types of concepts conjoined. So just seeing that and seeing words like HD presence, or I am presence that believes in my existence, just seeing that, and that is simple and to the point, to where I know that I can create a noticeable shift and still be very light and still be and feel very good about everything. And is there anything anyone else has to say about it or want to share?
Yeah, I'd like to share something.
Yeah.
Just recently when I was away in Florida, and after living in the countryside like I am, and it's usually very quiet, going to Florida and to some of the bigger places there, I noticed, the inundation of a whole lot of the energies from other people and stuff. When you walk into say a shopping mall, and it's all sort of fragmented, and then I realized that I got to a point where I just got myself centered and talk about the I am presence, because all of a sudden I just started reflecting back on something that had happened that previous night, that I had an experience. And all of a sudden I just allowed myself to become centered, and like talk about the high definition of the I am presence became very clear, and everything else around me started to fade out. And I realized that if you can hold your own presence, the I am presence, wherever you are, you don't have to be inundated with all this fragmented energy, but you can sort of hold it at bay and still be at peace with it. So that was just, something that I experienced just recently, and wonderful.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. That's beautiful.
Anything you got, Ryne? I know this is I'd like to see what you
On the I am,
Yeah.
on being in the I am presence.
Yeah.
Like how maybe it's a foundational aspect of our reality that already exists, whether we're conscious of the I am presence or not. Either way, what are you speaking about? I mean, you're speaking about an I am presence in the if you just want to have a big, far away view of that question that I asked, what are you speaking of? You're speaking of something that exists or is a presence that's just sending out this solid that you're seeing right here as a hand, because it is. So it's purely an I am hand, or the 0 point function of presence has an I am awareness to it. So bringing the I am who's aware that they are the I am, and aware of all their true potential that they can actually step into and actualize as being that I am presence doing this right now. I am speaking online. So I'm going to have that I am already here, and realizing anyone who's listening in the future, anyone who's listening right now will be listening to this I am now. And I'm going to go ahead and say this next word. You see how much power you can get when you bring it back to that seat. And then I could say like contract revocations of, I am now deciding to nourish myself. I'm going to send myself this light sound of emanation of this word to be empowered with how much I really love myself. All those hard times I've been through, all the victories I've been through, waiting. I am the apex. I'm the accumulation of all those moments that I can just name and trail off and go on any tangent, whatever. I am the apex of that. And that's what the I am that I am is on the apex. So that's why you stand and you'll declare that. And then you declare in your reality what you want, or what high definition experience you want to experience. If you want to turn it to 1080p, or if you want to go to 4K, or if you want to have this experience as something else, like an old black and white experience of, I don't know. I'm just playing with the words. But you get my point of, or our point of the I am presence.
Articulated perfectly, yes. Really well articulated. I mean, that's almost where language stops. That's like the edge of language right there, almost. Like where you say like, I am presence that believes in it, in its own existence. It's like there's not much, it's all feeling after that. And then what I feel is a great time to use that statement is when, if there's religious programming that you're trying to overcome, Sean, what do you have anything you want to share?
Sure, I could talk about hours of time technology. It essentially goes back to the understanding of being one with source, and the voice, and the commands, I am presence commands for the body, for initiating programs that are lasting and infallible, and stick to the source first. Stick throughout time, and against all self-defeating program or things that want to undo commands that you place forward. If you do it in voice, and I am presence, in the seat of your heart, and the the command station of your being, your lungs, the air you breathe, the voice you emanate, and all the technology linked. It has a creational force. It has a aspect to programming your body, your reality. You can emit different bandwidths of energy. You can perceive how many bandwidths of energy your voice emits, an elemental essence of different body technology that grows and expands with you after you emanate it, and it travels throughout etheric time into all perceivers that hear the voice and have the technology to hear it. The cells and the fiber of your being, light language goes into this in a greater linguistic way of genetics for functioning in this reality bubble. It leads into many things and is a necessary part for somebody that wants to navigate and have steering power over their reality bubble with their voice. And I am presence for all senses, really, not just voice, but it's said mostly in our understanding in the voice. Yeah, and there's lots of technology that can amplify it, ways it can be subverted or blocked from the individual, and they'll have to just like pick away at it, whatever the blockage is, with their voice and their usage of it, and any doubt programs that are keeping them from a greater connection with source in their bravado and heart space and activation of the I am presence and the greater upkeep involved in maintaining it, as well as your own sovereignty and the sovereignty of those aspects of yourself.
Yeah, I like the steering power, bro. I need steering power. I need the power steering on this. Albert, what's going on, man?
I am powerful in the sense of once you understand that you are an aspect of creation itself, experiencing its own mind of its own creation, where individuals get lost in their experiences in order to find who they are again. And that's when you become more powerful in your understanding by being lost and finding yourself again and knowing that you are part of source, that you have the ability working with the laws that you've created within this reality to experience whatever you choose to experience. There really is no limitations other than the limitations that you've placed on yourself. We've all experienced programs from the time we're born to the time potentially that we die. There's these existing programs that are running that keeps you from discovering yourself. And those who begin to discover themselves, I call it, they go through doorways. And that you go through is another sense of discovery, where once you go through it, you can never go back because there's nothing to go back to. So whatever you proclaim it to be and how far you want to take it in the amount of time that you're in this reality determines a life of joy and happiness opposed to sorrow and sadness, because you create what you speak. The power of your voice, the power of your mind, the power of who you are, it's self-directed. No government, no military, no one truly can force within you, because you have the ability to command nature and the elements. And that's why governments, to a certain degree, in place to keep you further from yourself. But I believe that we're all getting to the point now where we're under that those things that held us back were an illusion. they controlled our mind, that they're no longer in control anymore because we are control of ourselves. And that's a form of I am, of knowing who you are. A big part of it.
Love that. Love that. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, it's back to, we're just getting back to, like, on that point that you said, I mean, us controlling the elements and us gaining, it's not us gaining a superpower. This is just the bare minimum of an existence as a consciousness. You know what I mean? This is just like it's just like a facilitator so that we could be of more service to the planet, of more service to more beings, and give at a higher level. It's not like it's like how they try to portray like superheroes, Aquaman, stuff like that. It's not like all. I don't think it's exactly like that. At least in that portrayal. And so I really love the points that you guys had on there. Let's move on to the next slide here. We're sliding. Synthesizing your I am emanating charisma being. I like this. This concept is a realizing, like I read a quote that, or not read or heard a quote that it's the people who are going to be the leaders in this thought movement, or thought leaders, or are people who can synthesize as much information as possible. And now I'm seeing that, for me at least, I'm attempting to synthesize a massive amount of different teachings, like a lot of hard knocks teachings, a lot of survival teachings, a lot of exercise, body teachings, nutrition teachings, and a whole lot of relationship teachings, nuances in each of those fields simultaneously. And one thing that for me, as a part of my I am emanating charisma being, that I've seen is that just keeping it light all the way through. You know what I mean? I'm doing like a cold calling experiment where I just, I make people's day, and I just make contact with people, women and men. And it's pretty interesting. It's been a pretty interesting, like, kind of a social experiment. And but there is a diminishment factor that I noticed in myself of keeping on approaching people, that I noticed, where it felt like, it wasn't light anymore. But I had to synthesize like all of my practices with the practice of making contact with people and just making people's day, or telling a woman she looks nice, or just being socially, it's like a social butterfly, so to speak. And then I'm synthesizing that with the job hunt, that whole, and then seeing that there are other ways, and then synthesizing that with the fire in the belly that creates, and the different intensities of the fire in the belly. And it's been such a fun, amazing ride, and seeing the way what the reality gives you in relationships, and what the way it works with you, and to help you grow. And I've been working with like vision boards, and so like I'll use like personal growth books and mix it with like a Zen koan. So like in every personal growth book, there's cringy questions, and I'll just take that cringy question, and even in some of Andrew's teachings, there are some super cringy questions. You know what I mean? And I'll just take those and use them like a Zen koan and just meditate on the question. I think that helps my consciousness to just begin to synthesize it, because when you ask a question, and you start vibrating, you start beginning to attempt to vibrate the answer, and attract the answer to you. And it's amazing when you find questions from people like Andrew or other great, people that are in practice, that are like Andrew, that are just practicing what they reflect on in their shows and on a public format like this one. So does anybody have anything on synthesizing your I am emanating charisma being? And this, what I can say about this in a nutshell is that it's the lightness that Andrew has that makes people addicted to his shows. It's like his lightness and his way of just going about the show. And I feel like that element there is it's dying in our generations. You know what I mean? It's, in a sense, it's not like, it was more present like in the older days, but in like the present days with technology, there's not as much charisma and lightness to things anymore. In fact, it's to the point where I'm seeing that younger women are going for older men, but like way older men, like 60 and 70, and it's because they have this lightness, this charisma, this emanation, and I think it has to do in part with the smartphone technology, to always being entertained and not having a chance to just sit and be with yourself and think about how you're gonna create your next style, or how you're gonna be your just emanate yourself, the true nature of yourself, as a reflection of nature, or as a reflection of your most purest distilled version of yourself, which I think phones kind of distract us away from, obviously, but it's a double-edged sword, and I feel like it's both. But it's that lightness that's dying in our, I feel like, or is very sparse and not as much there in our world. Now it's a very critical thing, that it's why I listen to Andrew so much it's like the core of why I listen to so much of Andrew's materials, because of the lightness that he has, the way he can just look at somebody and talk to them like a brother, like just like a like that, like the cool version of that family member that knew that you knew that they could help you. He's like the cool version of that family member, you know what I mean? And then there's no shame and blame, and it's charismatic. There's usually a laugh or two in there. And what do you guys have anything? Does anyone have anything they want to share on that?
Yeah, there's a shitload of laughs. There's a bunch of laughs. In his work.
Yeah, it's
just it's just because of authenticity is not, like, in this age, it's not as, it is a dying thing, but it's also our job to make it real again. Authenticity has a background for whatever your I am is gonna be, because he's an authentic person, and he know, and in his teachings, he has to follow the teachings in order to teach them, and his teachings is of personal joy, and we all, like, people who have personal joy, feel that. He's an authentic person, and and laughter is so key in the universe, and not forcing things, because in this, it's not natural for forced evolution, or to force people. It's always about that, that lighthearted, being gentle. Nah, I mean,
I've got a comment on that too. Charisma is something that we're attracted to for the primary reason, whatever the virtues are of that individual that you're attracted to, those are attributes that you admire, that you want for yourself. There is a lightness to it. There is a freedom and a happiness is judged. in those situations because you're attracted to someone that usually has wisdom and knowledge and carefree. Feel that you can truly be yourself, meaning that you can be authentic around this individual, just like they're being. Now, there are individuals in our reality that can fake charisma because they can be deep in wolf clothing in the sense that it's false light, where they attract you into certain situations and you buy that false light. So I just want to throw out that there is authentic charisma and there is inauthentic charisma. So we have to be careful how we use that term.
Yeah, true. Yes. So do you have that slide, Abraha? Oh, it's maybe, is he, can everyone else hear?
Yeah, I'm
I
here.
see Sean frozen and Debbie frozen. Oh, okay.
Oh, I can hear you.
Y'all are just there. Okay. I'm sorry. I guess Abrea is just not here.
I'd like to say, yeah, I'd like to say something on the the charismatic side of it. Also, I find that the people that you really get drawn to, who are authentic and charismatic, they do carry a light heart, and you wonder, how in your own life, how can you apply that to yourself to be of light heart? And I've always felt that the simplest things and the light can be, you can achieve the greatest things in a light heart. And a lot of people think that achieving enlightenment has to be a struggle, it has to be hard work. I find that the lighter you are on yourself, the more you do things in joy, the more you can accomplish, and the more that you do become, other people around you become attracted to what you do because you're doing it in such a happy frame of light, that you're emanating a light from you. You're in your I am presence and you're being authentic. And I just find that, that's the charismatic aspect of, being out there, being authentic and doing it lightly. You don't have to, nothing has to be intense. There's so many people feel that, it's, they struggle with their evolution and they're saying, oh, I've just been through so much intense energy and stuff. It's how can we stop and look at ourselves and say, okay, how can we make this easier for ourselves and still learn and still clear away our problems that we've, or burdens that we've been, or we see it as a burden anyway, that we've taken on in through our life, that, life experiences that have, we've had pain. We've all suffered all different sorts of aspects of life as we keep going. And it's just the way that how we react to it or how we take it on. And if we can sort of look at things with let me say, with more of a light heart, instead of saying, this is so hard on me, I'm really struggling with all of this. Let's take it as, okay, what is it teaching me? What am I needing to look at? And how can I make this in such a much more enjoyable way of growing? And there's so many different modalities out there now that are doing things more with music, with frequencies. It's so much more enjoyable to listen to listen, lighten up your heart with music. I love what Ryne does. He gets there and he actually emanates his heartfelt frequencies through his music. And that's so charismatic that draws people to them. I just think doing things with joy and enlightenment and everything is what's going to help you, catapult into your evolution.
Yeah.
So,
sorry, I was on mute earlier, guys. Sean, do you have anything? Sean.
What was that?
I was asking if Sean had anything on.
Thank you so much, Debbie.
Or Ryne.
I appreciate it. Well, I just wanted, I appreciate you saying that. It's really amazing.
Yeah.
To hear you say that, it makes me feel really good.
Yeah, it's all about being undiminished. You know what I mean? It's like You know, it's all about being undiminished and staying lighthearted through it all. And um,
Can you hear me?
that's the key to the charisma, and that's what we need more of. You know, if not, all these 60-year-old guys are going to end up repopulating the earth anyway. You know, that have that lightness. They're not going to mess with the kids that are stuck on their phone like, you know, a lot of people my age are. Just
Can you hear me?
see, that's me. That's me emanating my lightness onto the actual show. Okay. So this is surpassing state threshold. Deepening the foundation.
You gotta echo, Sean.
Oh, is that Sean's echo? You know, should I mute? Should I mute him? Or Sean? No, Sean's muted. Oh, Sean, did you have anything on this this synthesizing your I am emanating charisma being, bro?
Authentic charisma being. Sorry.
Authentic charisma, yeah, or emanating charisma, or just on the concept of emanating charisma. Do you have anything, Sean? Forgot to ask. Or I didn't think you did. Or you didn't hear me? Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself, bro. I didn't mute you.
Can you hear me?
All right, now, okay. I thought I muted you by accident. Okay, cool.
It keeps freezing. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Freezing a little bit.
Okay. Charisma as a concept. It seems to be
Charisma or
the
emanating.
light a person gives off in biophotonic emissions and codes that are picked up by other biological skins, technologies, and perception, and allow for a positive experience. This can be amplified and create an operating system with it as a shadow self. I recommend targeting the shadow self if you want to get rid of blockages to a person's charisma, because a person with large psychic charisma is able to attract crowds, unite kingdoms, create an army, have large amounts of friends and relationships and positive experiences, attract their soul family quite easily, make people feel good by listening or seeing or perceiving them. It also goes into, again, like the authenticity, which I guess in the way of describing positive and negative true authenticity versus just believing something as true and it not quite be true, but you still believe it authentically, and then the false light into that, which would incorporate placebo belief operating systems and being able to audit that at a greater angle in the body to see what is real and what is not real that you're holding on to, and making a much stronger belief system ladder of achievements that holds up strongly to other reality belief systems that are the program of the day when you're interacting with bubbles of reality.
How far does that go? How many different realities do you think?
Every single person that creates a bubble of reality around them in conscious perceiver with energy observed creates a chess move as well as a vote for how reality constructs itself and pushes forward. And as an aggregate and quilt of reality bubbles that come together, they're all kind of crashing into each other all the time. And what holds up as the strongest is and relates to what has manifested, what is, and what is actively the authentic reality of the aggregate coming together, which includes what has happened, what's been passed down, and what is actively being created in that.
And is how has Sacred Geometry Cities hijacked the concept of charisma?
And is there any way, Sean, your mic is like chopping like in and out for some reason? I don't know if it's.
Oh, okay.
If you could fix it, that'd be badass. I know,
I
can understand every word. Just, I mean, because I listen to you talk, and and it's like cutting every word in, but it is cutting out. I don't know if you could fix it, but if not, you could still hear you.
I can come in and out after I'm done talking if you want.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you can just send me the recording later, and I'll put it up too. Oh yeah, but yeah, they're just actively trying to steal charisma because they can't really make it, so they can create a shield around themselves of falseness that perpetuates a lie of who they exist as opposed to the truth underneath. So the system is actively stealing everything you got, including charisma, if it can, and authority to create new types of charisma for beings that they perceive needed, such as politicians, presidents, world leaders, banks, commercials, programming of all types, really. So that's about it. So I'm gonna re-answer next call.
Okay. Albert, did you speak on the emanating charisma topic? You did, right?
I did, yes.
Okay. Yeah, that was amazing. I kind of want to ask Sean a couple more questions on just how would somebody who, I've being from like a Sacred Geometry City, born in DC myself. It's just interesting when the way, like, there's a lot of charismatic people in that, in that grid, but it's definitely like, not being holistically applied. It's like, it's the point where DC has its own language, there's like its own urban ebonic kind of a language that has some charm to it, some heart to it, but it's getting hijacked not only by one city, but like I'm starting to see like a connection between DC and LA, like a huge connection where I'm telepathically getting pinged all the time. Come to California, come to California. And I was wondering why, but it's because the DC charisma is unique. Like I think it's probably the same in all the three powerhouse domination and control cities like Rome and London. You know what I mean? And so I find that you're gonna see people with charisma in these three cities for sure. And it's interesting to see that the way the culture develops and the way these people are emanating a sense of charisma, but they're keeping it within those domes and those cities it's like they're being used as an attractive force to go to bring more energy into the cities. And let's see. Let's go to the next slide, and then we can return back to any slide, or we can go on any topic here. If anyone wants to, inject anything, I'm open to all suggestions. There's no, nothing's completely fixed. And but for this next slide, it's just a couple words here that I prepared. Deepening the foundation of your practice, creating a bigger responsibility can be painful, but that is because the amount of pain you can cause by leaving this unattended is also just as huge. So if you have what I was really speaking about here is like breakthroughs and how things have to break down, so you have to break through. And an example that I brought forward was just because we and many species live on the earth every day does not entitle us to the way the planet produces the perfect conditions for us to exist. Earth certainly surpasses thresholds every day to keep the planet habitable. And yeah, I just wanted to read that out. I don't think if you guys want to discuss that, we can. But it actually made a lot more sense when I was writing it than when I was saying it now. But yeah, this is the next slide. So, are there victories that are? Have you guys ever had a victory that you couldn't really accept, or unacceptable victory? You know, that's speaking to all the viewers as well, because it can be, there can be some legendary things that happen. You know, even if it's just as you're, especially I notice as you're working towards your purpose or as you're getting an event organized, there is there can be amazing, momentous, you know, feeling and even helping somebody who's on their purpose. You may not be the one that's doing it for yourself all the time, and there's, you know, there's certain victories and little micro victories that are hard to accept. You know, it's just as hard. I find that victories can be just as hard to accept as extreme defeats. And
Like what sort of victories are you talking about?
any victory, like like, you know, from getting the hottest girl's school number in your school's number to
No, that's unacceptable.
that is
No,
formidable.
like what would be a victory that's unacceptable? Like what's
Like a victory that that the individual cannot accept because it's too bright. You know what I mean? You know when a light's shining too bright, but you already had the experience, so you can't say you didn't have it. It's kind of like the light, the amount of light in that victory that you had was so bright it blinds you, and so therefore it's like, how am I supposed to be able to accept that? You know, I consider this a real a serious issue. You know, like, I have many friends, people that I see that I consider legendary, but I guess the thing is, once you've already reached such a legendary place, an even harder challenge comes in. So if you don't accept the victory that you had, and you're just witnessing the harder challenge, it can be kind of a depressing expression of evolution, because you didn't accept your previous victory. So you're trying to bootstrap your way from that previous victory to an even better victory that's even beyond that previous victory that you thought was too amazing to be unacceptable. But the wording here, I wish I could probably write it a little clearer. But the concept is
it's like not claiming your victories, but you have victories, you just are unaware of them, like subconscious of, like you're not fully conscious of them.
And the reason in my experience is that why this is so important is because it's very, if you don't accept your victory and you have it, and then I noticed that the reality that we're in is the Earth School is challenging us at our highest potentials, at our highest levels. So I find that within myself, there'll be some peaks that I've had where I didn't accept that peak, say like in a meditation, say in my fitness. You know, there's a point at one time where I ran a 40-yard dash in 4.4 seconds with a parachute on. And the reason why the parachute actually made me faster is because it gave me more traction to use my extremely overly strong legs. And I you know, I have to, when I work out now, I kind of have to realize that that's a pretty legendary stat, and I have to kind of, you know, understand that my next goal would be after that, you know, and it's hard for me to accept that I basically ran I'm probably one of the fastest people in the world. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Could I touch upon that topic? Could I touch
Yes.
upon what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah. So in my own experience and wisdom, any victory that you experience is not a fluke, it's not a mistake. It is something that should be grounded in gratitude. Because when you're really grounded in gratitude, not accepting it has nothing to do with it. Being grateful to have that experience, which you can change the word out victory with experience, and grateful for those experience that gives you a feeling of overwhelming accomplishment, and you're truly grateful, being grateful in that moment moving forward, that becomes the norm. It is only when you're not grounded in, then you start to sink back into low self-esteem and unworthiness and all the things that governments and religions to assert to have is unworthiness, and you're a sinner. So it's your own sense of self, your own sense of knowing self, and knowing that you can accomplish that and much, much more.
Now, here's the question I will pose to you, Albert. When you achieve your dream, when you achieve your wildest dreams, and you know that you have to create, or you have to move on to the next level of that, is there a peak?
Okay, rephrase it. No, rephrase it. Because
so,
you don't have to do anything. It's up to you and your choices of when you get to that next moment in the future, it will naturally evolve, because you can't plan the future out too much, because you need to be in the moment and have the feedback and experiences of what's going on now and not be too far in the future. You can use your imagination, you can use all the tools, but you can't be too far out, because they're around it.
So basically what you're saying is that moment where you feel like you've reached the edge of actualizing your dreams is just I guess like a misperception, basically, in so many words.
Well, in my opinion, you're kind of saying, okay, well, I'm going to make this accomplishment, and when I reach that accomplishment, what's next? Stuff. But in reality, as you continue to move forward, if you are of the mindset that you want to continue to progress, that will be a natural occurrence, because sometimes we force things on ourselves that we may or may not be ready for, instead of being in the flow of life, so to speak. You're putting too much pressure on yourself and not being in the flow, which is really being in the now, being grateful, and being co-creative.
It's like putting your hands up and saying, like, thank you for this current taking me forward, rather than paddling against it. And in like something for the viewers, what you just said, Albert, like you said that the living with gratitude, the constant gratitude, and then you switched that word victory for experience. Like just that statement, kind of, you're saying victory, the gratitude is your victory, and if you're living with it, it's a constant victory for every experience that you're having.
Absolutely, because you live in the flow of life and nature, and you will accomplish things that other people will never understand, because they have to experience for themselves. But you have that experience. But when you're really grateful, you can't have an opposing feeling of when you're grateful. You accept it.
Exactly. I remember these things as I was in the process of getting there. But when the dream actually appears, I would revert to.
Oh, Debbie, you have a little echo.
I do.
Yeah, like I was talking.
Yeah, I guess just Yeah, that's too high or something.
I would revert to kind of like that inner child, just saying, okay, now I can create whatever I want. You know, rubbing my two hands together like a, you know, like a mastermind, and so I guess that was kind of like some of the things that I've gone through, and it felt like so insurmountable to even move forward, because it just feels like there's like a couple scenarios in my life that I've accepted recently where like after this happened I could have died happy. You know what I mean? Like like that's the level of gratitude. Like I could have just, you know what I mean? All right. Like this is the most amazing, like this is one of the most amazing experiences anyone could have ever had. And just accepting that, you know, and still being able to be grateful, you know, for the next ever present moment is something that fascinates me. Is there, Ryne, is there anything that you'd like to share? Anything more you'd like to share on that?
Yeah, the gratitude is yeah, just living because that unexplainable experience or that amazing experience you just spoke of that only you can have, that means 100% of the people who could have that experience would be you. So you could, if you're purely authentically grateful, then that means 100% of that experience and all those who would experience that experience were grateful. It's the only experience that was you. That so if you have to have some other experience to realize you had that experience, then it was actually good enough for you to make that knowledge you learned from that experience into wisdom, because you're grateful and you're not going to be judging with this or that coloring that you're going to color on it. You're just like, I'm fucking truly, I'm very grateful for, you know, anywhere you look in that experience, you'll just like, you know, emanate gratefulness to all of it. And it's like the importance of nourishing yourself is being gracious for yourself. And each experience you're having gratitude for, you're nourishing too. And all those experiences are nourishing you. So it's like a constant that you should always have currently, you know, in your background, in your flow of, you know, I'm actually really grateful for this experience, and let's move on. Just like I am and I'm experiencing, let's move on, you know.
Almost like a traumatic experience. It's almost like that.
I'd like to add something.
Almost like that. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So I think that when we work towards our dreams and we put all our focus and our energy and authenticity into our dreams, and we have that victory and we are totally in gratitude, I feel that, you know, if you're saying that it's unacceptable, then I think there's a lack of self-worth coming up there. But normally you don't get what you don't deserve. So I think when you're working really hard in consciousness and focusing on your dreams and working towards those, and you have that victory, it's a wonderful blessing that you've actually created. And you need to be in gratitude and acceptance of it, because you really brought that reality about for yourself. That victory is just a reflection of what you've been working on, and that you deserve that, because that's all the effort and energy and focus that you've put into it. And so we don't bring anything into our lives that we don't deserve consciously. And it's just learning to know how to have gratitude and be humble enough to accept these wonderful things that do come our way. Synchronicity is another thing too that sometimes really blows me away, when you're not expecting it, and just things all of a sudden just flow synchronicity. And it's realizing that all the time that, you know, you've been living and focusing and doing your work, doing your revocations, doing your disciplines in the morning, meditations, creating your reality, creating your day. All of these things, when they start to show and appear, they all are part of your victory. It's nothing that's outside of us happening. It's something that we have brought about for ourselves. And just by being grateful and showing gratitude towards it, we can open up the avenues for more. So it's just a wonderful thing that we just get these reflections back to us that look like a victory, but actually it's just an experience that you know, is it reflecting back to us on all our hard work that we've been putting into our life?
Yeah, it's within us. Yeah, it's all within.
Yeah, that was beautiful. Yeah, I was just watching a video, one of Dan Winter's video, and he was saying whenever you have a thought that's a shareable thought, sometimes your hair will stick up on your neck, or those times when you have those aha moments, and it's like that's when you have like a shareable thought, that means that your current is turned on, and it tells the current of the reality, the energy of the reality, you know, I'm ready to connect, and it like opens your aura up. And he talks about the scientific behind your aura and the ley lines, and actually the different, how the energy actually runs, and why they would put the sacred temples on those sacred sites, and what a jet is, and like he has his own Jedi stuff. But he was just talking about that, how so the gratitude would be opening up your flow for the connection with not only just the connection with the flow of the environment, but there's a hologram that we're experiencing, and there's a hologram within our mind also, and they're interconnected. And there are ways that this hologram of everything affects this hologram in our mind, because it's like how we perceive. But there's, when you're in that flow and when you're in that open state, you're actually able to use this hologram inside yourself to like affect that outside hologram. Like he breaks it down into scientifics, and it's really great videos. Dan Winter. I just wanted to share.
Thank you. Yeah, that was amazing.
Could I say one more thing to illustrate a point? Okay, we all have personal relationships and friendships that we experience. Some of them are closer than others. But one thing that's in common, the people that you typically are close to, the people that are easy to get along, and they're grateful for the relationships and things, and being a part of the relationship. So would you do something for someone that's grateful opposed to someone that is not grateful? That is the question. Answer that question.
It's a tough one for me. It's easy because I know that I should do something for someone who's grateful, but it's in a set, the challenge is that I guess is that I'm thinking, you know, I should just give anyway because that person asked, you know. And
so,
I've had, you know.
So how does it make you feel in either situation? That's what I'm pointing out to you.
Yeah. Okay. It makes me feel icky when I give someone who's ungrateful a ride to the metro, or it makes me feel, you know, as if I enhanced my life when I give someone who is grateful a ride, you know? And yeah, so then you're saying when we accept our victories and we're grateful for them, then you start seeing the reflection of why you received them in the way that you did. And that speed, that essential foundational speed of the experience, the good experience that you attracted through your gratitude, underlying all of that is what I'm picking up here. Like the underlying speed in which you attracted it through your gratitude, in the sense of somebody who's grateful who asked for a ride versus someone who's ungrateful who asked for a ride, and the way the energies transpire. At least in my experiences of actually being in that situation. Sean, do you have anything on this topic? I know you've had some amazing victories, my friend.
Well, touching on the point previously, like equal energy exchange and perception and value for an interaction. If it's valued by a person, and you see the change it makes in their life. If it's not valued, then it's thrown away or not seen as valuable to them. and that we can kind of like adjust how much of an impact we make in the world based on that perception. This phrase is cut like, don't throw pearls before swine or something. And I guess that has some truth, but there's also a balance with being okay with giving something of value to somebody that doesn't value it as much, as long as you emanate your heart space truth and try not to step on their journey and do yourself your own honor emanation.
Exactly. Yeah, I've had a couple times where I couldn't turn it off, quote unquote. Like I was actually on a date yesterday, and I couldn't turn it off. But I just, I laughed at myself, and she understood enough, and you just gotta kind of trust enough that you attract the people that will understand enough, so where it's not a too much of a stepping on someone's journey. It's just like a moment where they may miss a point, but they're not gonna feel like you stepped on their journey. Cool. Is there anything else is there any other point that anyone had? Like, is there any specific victory that anyone had that they want to share, where it's like, this is so amazing that I could this is my life, I could die right here. Has anyone had those a specific one that that they can share, like, in their process of accepting it, and how they accepted it? Or are we all agreeing on gratitude is the attitude?
Could I share something else on?
Yeah.
Like, it's a victory. It's whatever. Well, I gave $20 to a homeless guy once when I was just on the street, and I went to a stoplight, and he was just asked, had a sign or something. And I gave him $20, and like his eyes like lit up. And another time I gave my brother $20, just because he's my brother, Or I tried to offer $20 to someone who had a lot of money, and they took it as some sort of polarized view. Like, value is like, we're always in an energy exchange, and it's kind of like if you're giving to someone who's it's like the debt mentality of lack or debt or void of heart connection, or it'd be really void of gratitude, is you can go ahead and do the exchanges and do something for the person who's not going to be gratitude. You're not going to have gratitude for it. They're just going to, not be thankful. And you could feel bad or good, whatever. And then you could do the same thing for someone who's very grateful, and it like changes them, and they remind you how much it changes them and how much they appreciated it. And you're going to actually get energy back, most likely, because they're sending that, oh, wow. Or they're sending healing, saying how much they appreciated you. And the other person who's not gratitude, I mean, you could take that still as you were gracious to offer through both of those scenarios, to giving it to either person. But if you're giving it to someone in gratitude, you could even use that momentum of you already having your inner gratitude for the experience of giving it to them. And then they have a gratitude for the experience of receiving. And then you use that momentum so that y'all two are working as a whole, uplifting everything. It's just like the science, how being gratitude will be open to the whole. And then you can co-create with the whole, closing yourself off to a lower state, polarity, duality, believing false light. That's not going to be having the momentum of the gracious, very thankful for this I am experience momentum that you have when you're bringing your awareness to that. That was a mouthful.
That
But
was
thank you.
amazing, though. Yeah. So, the next slide I have here is when you're at that, I guess at this ideal state of realization, and you just feel that, and I feel like your cup is overflowing, and that's where you can give your prayers and give your peaks of energy that you're generating, and that high quality customized expression of yourself to the world, so that they can do the same thing in their own expression. And and even if it's really cup overflowing, you're still balancing the energy to go where it's supposed to go, or to where it can rebalance, order, or resolve, where you spend that precious attention unit. So I feel like the energy that you feel when you're at that, dream is actualized, your units of attention in that moment are extremely precious. And so, not like anything, not to bring any shame, anything in there, but I feel like just to bring a little of awareness to that attentional unit. It's probably, this is experimental. This is all experimental, and I feel like a lot of the concepts like HD presence and everything here are just something I've never seen before. But I feel like if this resonates with you, then or if you have, there's probably other psychologists who speak on this in a different way. But this is just from my own introspection, my own meditations, my own reflections. And you use those precious attentional units of when you have reached a progressive state, or you've progressed on your journey in a very obvious way, that that you've intentionally created something to create pillars in yourself to architect your higher frequency. So I guess like the Grove of the Patriarchs is a version of this. Grove of the Matriarchs is a version of this. Peacemaker's Lodge is a version of this, which I've been really actually having. I had a waking daydream where it kind of looked like Albert, if you want to talk about your trip to Egypt, it kind of looked like a like one of the libraries of Alexandria, or something like the Peacemaker's Lodge that Andrew unveiled. Did you get a chance to go to that library?
Unfortunately, we didn't go to Alexandria.
Oh, okay.
We were in Upper and Lower Egypt.
Yeah.
In fact, I was talking about next time I go, I do want to go to Alexandria, because I've heard so, and wanted to see if there was still ruins left from the library that had supposedly burnt at the time. One thing I can say that was really impactful about this trip to Egypt this time, because it's my second time going, is the sense of how important nature is. We have a perception how things were, but that perception is really skewed because the language is different. The translations of how things were has gotten twisted. Even the name, Egypt was not called Egypt, it was called Kemet. And then the conquerors that came along from the Greeks to the Romans to the Persians, they went to what was ancient Kemet, which it was more spiritual. They may have depicted gods and goddesses, hieroglyphics, but they had much more deeper meaning that we may not truly understand to this very day. And much of what religion is based on now was based on much of those teachings back in Kemet that was taken by the Romans and the Greeks, and basically became a lot of what you see in the Bible. One thing that impacted me the most is that my true understanding of nature has really changed in a deep way. That my journey now is to truly connect to the spirit and the heart of this planet, and transformation and the respect that it has coming to it. because we've gone so far off course of being a spiritual planet, and these energies that have created destruction and illusion through mind control. We need to wake up and get back to our core roots and instincts, because when you master spirituality, control you. And they've done it over generations of time. And that's where we've gotten to today, is a domesticated human species that follows the leader, so to speak, instead of being connected with the spirit and the heart of the planet and the instincts of knowing what it is to be a true human being. So that's it in a nutshell.
That is an amazing. So with your connection with nature, was it because of like the did you go to the pyramid and did you have that experience there? That's what I kind of envisioned. Or was it where did was there a specific temple, or was it would you say the whole experience that in Egypt that evoked that connection to nature for you?
I would say it's all of it, because when you go in these temples and these palaces and these different locations and you see these hieroglyphs, whether we know it or not, I feel that they still affect much deeper levels subconsciously, where we can look at it and not know what it says, but on a much deeper level, the meaning behind what was on those words, or on the pictographs is the best way to put it. And I think that's on a much deeper level. And I truly believe that's why they did what they did, because their writings were the places that they had temples or tombs. They left their legacy in the energies and what they created. And much of it has stand for many thousands of years. And fortunately, we're able to experience that at a much deeper level. So whoever goes there and experiences that, they always come back changed in some form, because they see things differently.
Yeah, I'm so happy for you, brother. That sounds like an amazing experience. So there's a little bit of a lag or
What, Debbie?
feedback, or just
I just had something.
I'm not sure who's that coming from.
I just went to. Is it?
Okay, cool.
Is it coming from me? Okay, cool. Okay. I went to Alexandria when I was over in Egypt, actually, because I was really drawn. I wanted to see the library that was completely burnt down, and it was really disappointing because it's all digital, and just and beautiful artwork and stuff like that in there. But right nearby where the library is some ruins, and there's a whole lot of catacombs that you can go down into. But there's no sign or energy of that library. It was completely destroyed, and and it's so modernized and digital that it just takes away that whole feeling of what I thought I was going to expect to experience. So, but going to all the tombs and to the temples and everything, like Albert said, there is something deeper than what's written on the walls. It's really multidimensional, and the energies and what you're tuning into opens up a whole different aspect of understanding. And it changed my husband forever, because he was never really interested in that aspect of spirituality, especially with the Egyptians and that whole reign, I suppose. But when he came back, he just could not get enough. He bought every book under the sun. He checked up everything and started to realize that Egypt is a lot older than what the scientists think. It goes back millions of years. There's so much more to that place than what really is being taught. And like Albert said, they have tour guides that go through there, and they'll read out some of the writings and the inscriptions on the wall, but it's just so much more than that. You just really can't explain it. It's a feeling and it's an experience.
So Albert, would you say that their technology of writing those pictographs on the wall in that sacred temple is still in effect? Like, and you can use that technology whenever you go in there, you kind of are able to tap into it, or it affects you already?
Oh, most definitely. And I truly believe that's why they did what they did. They were really much more advanced. I believe that the human species is back more advanced than we are now. We may think that we're advanced technologically, but spiritually we de-evolved. And one say, well, how did we de-evolve? Look how we treat the planet. If you've got petrochemical that is being spilt everywhere, you've got plastic everywhere, you're killing animals that are in their natural habitat for whatever reasons, we de-evolved as a spiritual humanity, because back then you can tell that they honored nature. They honored the forces of nature, the elements and the realms and the dimension and how everything truly worked. So
Yeah, it seems like
that we
they
get
knew
back
about
to.
they knew about that sort of technology of the natural um, other realms kind of technology or energy from the non-physical, because they seem to have tapped into just something that we all lost touch, or the system is here to make sure and enforce people don't go into that connection, but people are losing in touch with it. My lights are just flashing on and off.
Too much frequency.
Yeah.
I think that yeah, having technology like harmonized with nature is something that that's one of my dreams. To invent you know innovative methods that can go into a body of water and purify at least something. I don't. It doesn't have to be everything, but purify one element. And that's one of my dreams. Now I really have to actually see what grounded steps I can take. And I've always felt like an inventor, and I've always felt like on the brink of creating a new technology. I wrote like, when I'm 42, I'm gonna create the first hover car, But then I realized that already exists. You know what I mean? Because if all the secret military 0 point energy stuff is there already, then there's really nothing new here. That's what we discover, and that's it goes right back to Egypt. It always goes right back to Egypt because there's nothing new, and you just realize I just want to create my own artistic expression that nourishes my my yearning for that, you know, water purifier that is super cool to use, like a little like an underwater drone that you could use like a video game and like purify and pick up plastics and things like that, which I think is pretty in range of what do we have available to us in technology, like an underwater drone that does that. Um, yeah. Anybody else? Sean, what's going on, bro?
What's going on with you?
So I was talking about like attentional units in the last slide. So this last slide, I was talking about how what do you perceive is different between like what would you perceive as different between an attentional unit, like a personal attentional unit that you have when you see a dream being actualized? Like let's say like I'm watching a piece of technology clear up the Mediterranean Sea or save, the biodiversity of the Chilean waters or something like that happen. And then I'm feeling that feeling of that accomplishment. And then I'm focusing on, and then I'm realizing, oh, this is an amazing vibration that I'm on. What if I use this attentional unit to focus it on like Syria or something like that? So like Syria can be and just even focusing on it with that type of attentional unit. And what, like, is that different from me just being, you know, just sitting on the couch one day after watching, you know, a funny show and then just being like cereal, as opposed to being after like just seeing an invention that, you know, you thought of that purifies waters and seeing it do that. Does that make sense a little bit? Like the intensity of your creative ability versus just chilling and then just thinking about something. Like, what would you say? Like how does that affect the unseen and in terms of how you're using that attentional unit?
Well, oftentimes when inventors make an invention, they'll find out that somebody across the planet is in thinking about it around the same time as them, the collective consciousness. 100th monkey effect goes into that. And you're going into creating technology that goes into purification of water. There's many different factors that you could use, such as electricity, frequency, or even the understanding of the water molecule and how it reacts to other stimuli. You could even go into psionics, because psionics, there's a whole branch devoted towards purification of water. There's like whole awarenesses on how to purify water, program in.
Remember when you programmed the pool?
What'd you say?
At the event, you programmed the pool and you totally purified the entire. Yeah, totally. You know, we did a show, and on that, I called it like letting it rip on 3 different layers: layer 1, layer 2, and layer 3. And Sean,
you peed in the pool, Sean?
Yeah.
To bless it? What'd you do?
No.
It's not a chakra, Sean. No, just kidding.
You get out of here with your sass. Anyway, yeah, I use frequency emanations to program water. There's many different types of motions. Program water. Water, a great mystery. We'll go into that and like science and how like they can reproduce the same frequencies humans emit and then pump it out with a frequency generator at crude oil, and then it separates from the water at a way greater pace. You can do this in many different spectrums. You can do this even multidimensionally at a greater density, so that you're purifying all densities of each water molecule as it has a world inside of it, as a collective consciousness of elementals. It has whole things going inside it. Some of the ocean's water has more drama than people will understand in each little water molecule. And so like the greater degree of amplitude is needed in entering those macrocosmic games to help purify water. Water is naturally trying to purify itself all the time, but there's a lot of stimuli that wants to hold it back from that. So the shadow of each water molecule needs to be examined to see what is the holdups for it to do what it naturally wants to do because of its own consciousness, its own energy emission, its aura, and empowerment of its natural system to do that, such as changing from one state of water to another, the weather patterns, and even usage of like the 4th state of water, which you can bring more matter into existence, like water matter, etc., than what would be normally seen or felt there before you start bringing it in, and that be used as a way to get free energy, or at least not like free, but more abundance energy from the void, which there is large amounts of untapped potential in. Yeah, and then also use that to purify the water itself.
Yeah, and this is something that's so key. This is a basic. Like, this is something that we have to master as a species, is to find ways to purify our water that, maybe consciousness based. That may be. I don't think reverse osmosis is really a long term solution, but that's good too. That's one of my passions, focusing on water. There's this website called Vibes Up where they have a crystal infused shower head for $40. And yeah, I got one. There's like a big rose quartz chunk, and like love was inscribed on the rose quartz. There's all these gems and these balls that like ionize the water. Caitlin Keat Vibes Up is that product that I really love. All right, let's see what the next slides are. Is there anything anyone else wants to share on water? Like just actually what we just spoke on, and or just like going from a place from like the difference between a high attentional unit of like your highest values being actualized versus your attentional unit when it's just in progress, or like you're at a decompression state, or you're just watching a program, or you're watching a YouTube video, and you're just like, let me think about healing the planet, or let me think about healing this ley line, or let me think about healing this country or something. Is there any? That was kind of long. That was a mouthful right there. My gosh.
Let me say one other thing.
Yeah.
About it. Sometimes we tend to take for granted. The human body itself is probably over 80% water, and that is by design. And if you look at a lot of the diseases and illnesses that most people experience, especially, a big part of it is because of lifestyle and toxicity, whether you consume it, food that you eat, the air that you breathe, or even the negative emotions that you're around affects the density and the effectiveness of the water that's in your body. So part of purifying the waters of the planet is also purifying the waters of your own body, which in turn creates a ripple effect. Because I've done tests with these pendants, and what we've discovered is when you wear a pendant that has been infused with certain frequencies, the water that's in your body, which in turn creates all kind of chemical reactions and start to happen. Because the other thing that we're up against in the future with technology, we're looking at 5G, 4G, all these disharmonic frequencies that is very chaotic. So part of our mastery is going to be self-mastery to create a sense of harmony despite whatever is around us. And those who are able to harness harmony within your own auric field will be able to experience things that are completely equal. That's just what I'm seeing, and that's my take on it.
And this is interesting that you bring up your pendants, because I got this infused with sea frequencies and whale dolphins frequencies on Albert's site, quantumstones.com, which is where you can find his work. And this is the Galactic Historian pendant that Albert is collabing with Andrew on, and I have to give you a huge shout out. This has helped me immensely on my journey. It's been the exact support that I've needed. I felt it like instantly when I made the purchase online, and one of my other friends felt it as well.
Kind of felt that through the camera.
Yeah.
Honestly.
See, he's got this is the clear quartz. I was like, oh, give me this. Like, this is, it's got the different symbology on there, but this is an amazing piece. I highly suggest, you grab your pendant from Albert's website.
Well, what's on the back? What's on the back of it, Albert?
It's a galactic historian, just GH.
And then what's the metal? Like what
Silver.
metal? It's silver?
Yeah, sterling silver.
Yeah, silver
And
salt
spiral.
sage frequency.
And a spiral?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So just so you know, the symbology are the elements.
Mhm.
No, I take that back. You got earth, fire, air, and water in that order.
Okay.
And the intent of doing that was to help with manifestations as well. Because when you learn how to use the elements, you always start with air because it's thought. You have to truly focus on what is it that you want, and that's air. And then after that is fire. You have to take those images and your imagination and you have to do something with it. Fire. There is water, which is emotions. You've got to be really passionate about what you're doing. Part of the manifestation is earth, is when you take the other four elements and ground it into reality. So that's how the elements work.
Okay. That is, it's so basic, but you know that needs to be mastered for anything else to really work. You know, and I really appreciate the mastery that you've obviously you can hear it in your voice that it's not like you're just saying this for the first time. You've studied this and actualized practiced this. So I really appreciate your work. It's helped me profoundly. You know, having you on here is like one of those dreams that I talked about in that previous slide. Let me see how many. I think we have a few more slides left to go. Oh, just one more slide. Oh, oops. Okay, so I forgot where I got this piece of knowledge from, but apparently our brains see upside down, and I've used this in visualization techniques where I've attempt to invert my visualization. You know, Andrew says this all the time. Our reality is inside out and backwards and inside out, or I forgot how you'd say it. But looking at the picture of our brains, we actually objectively perceive everything backwards and inside out. And I immediately thought of the Hermetic principle, law of polarity, embracing duality in ourselves in an ease-based way or fun-based way. And then I'm just, you know, full disclosure, this is absolutely resonance-based research with peppers from unsighted sources. And then do no harm is my last point here. And yeah, I think that's an interesting point. Maybe I'll save this for another show, unless you guys have anything you'd like to add as we close out. Deb, Albert, Ryan, Sean.
I have one thing.
Yeah.
You know me, I'm gonna always have something. About Egypt, like I said, they were really grounded in spirituality. And one practice that I've been doing since I've got back, which if you guys go on the internet and look up the ideals of Ma'at, which Ma'at is spelled M-A-A-T. And Ma'at was of justice, of law, and of spiritual way of being. And there's 42 ideals or principles. That these principles, you will have a much better life. And some people feel that the 10 Commandments, because you can look at it and see that 10 of those came from the teachings of Ma'at. And then the other thing that's really interesting, our justice system here. And if you look at the blind goddess with the scare unbalanced, and that goes back to the principles that she represents Ma'at, that is blindfolded to true justice, and the scales are unbalanced. So
I have a mentor named Mahat. She gave me my first organite sale, actually. She supported me like when I was in a really bindy kind of a place, and she you know, but she also taught me how to she taught me a lot about the Kemetic traditions, and Ma'at is kind of no joke. You know, it's a super, you know, not hard, but there's a little flavor. There's a little religious flavor in the Kemetic traditions that I've experienced. The actual gatherings, the societies that are set up. Like here on the East Coast, there's a society called the Asar Set, and they're extremely cool. But there's a little bit of a religious thing on it, where it's you know, but there are some extremely amazing people. They offer free classes, free yoga. It's just kind of like a church where they give you like free donuts and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And free lemonade. In a way, but obviously, you know, there's a huge difference. But I'm just saying, I've never been to Egypt, but my experiences with the societies here is that now there are individuals within those societies that are branching off, breaking away, doing their own thing, you know, going in the heart, expanding from their own heart space. But it's interesting how when, you know, it was being brought here in the 80s heavy, with different, you know, kind of zealot teachers out there, now people are beginning to balance themselves and actually come into their own expression that is not zealotry and is just, you know, their personal growth process here. And that's my view on the like the Kemetic gods, and I feel like for sure it could have been another flavor of like archontic mind control. It maybe from the because you know they say like there's nothing new here. What do you feel like on that, Albert? Do you feel like it just, you know, because we think that just because it's older, it's automatically not anything that we're experiencing now, but it could just be another flavor of the 5 religious paradigms, except there are 13 of them, or however many of those gods, you know?
Okay, here's my take on what you said. There are only half-truths in this reality, Hermetic teachings. And when you stand back and think there are only half-truths, then that would explain why things operate the way that they operate, because of our perception. I'm not much of a religion. I can benefit from the teachings of whatever resonates with me. I don't have to have a place that I go to on Sunday, these teachings, because to me that's an everyday event. It's not a once a week event. So you can learn from us because they have half-truths in their teachings and have false truths. So it's up to the individual, and it comes always back to the individual of how you discern in it before you, what resonates, what doesn't resonate. It's all about choice and free will. And that's the whole exercise of this existence, in my opinion, is to master your free will in duality. It's no easy task, and the people that are here didn't come for easy.
Yeah, it's no easy task, and it's the thing about the scales in Ma'at that I find is the scales are, I think, can be applied to our discernment, And when we realize, oh, okay, this is obviously not in resonance, so I have to keep going in, and to the point where you have to even, you know, the fine-tooth micro-expression balance. And that's what I just kind of went in. I've never really heard anyone say that about. I've only heard like one or two people say that what I've said on, or what I just said on air about that. You know, those gods, and you know, it's hard for other people to talk about it because you know it's so old. But if you look at it, it's the same thing. You know, it's similar. It's very similar. You know.
Debbie,
Yeah.
do you want to say anything on mods?
You muted. I heard you though. I heard you. You said no. Yeah.
So David,
What do you?
know
Yeah.
more about my art than I do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's cool. It's cool.
Who is your aunt?
Are you talking to me? Are you talking to me?
No, who is your aunt? Your aunt? Debbie. No, I'm just kidding. Like my aunt instead of my aunt.
Yeah. Cool. Is there anything else you guys would like to say? Anything else I could or are you guys, how are you guys feeling?
I just wanted to say one thing.
Yeah.
When we're all talking about water and the effects of how we can actually imprint on water, and Albert was also saying that our brain is 80% water. So also what we speak and what we think is going to also put an impression and can affect the way that our brain flows and affect the way our thoughts are and affects our reality, because everything that we think is what we create. And so just to be aware of that, our brain, because we're going to discuss that next time round, is 80% water and the effects of that. That's it.
Yeah.
Like our thoughts are like resonating or sending out those vibrations of whatever we're perceiving as those thoughts. And our relation to those thoughts is programming the body too. Because you can have thoughts, but your relation is just like you have control over that thought and you're not going to have it affect your whole reality. So it probably doesn't affect your water in your body as much. But when you do take that focus up, you can target the specific water sacs in your body, or, you know, like doing pericardium heart meditation, doing liver, focusing on it. And whenever you go into those meditative states, when you just open up to,
Yeah. See,
and then you can program that crystalline substance.
Yeah.
Pretty badass technology we're living in the skin suits, you know? Way more badass than we even know, because we're just activating. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's definitely a dance worthy way to, you know, express it. I feel like I did the math, right, guys, and to get 3 organic meals from Whole Foods for a family of 9 for 10 years is $2.3 million. And that math that I did there really made me feel like, okay, what's the basic? I need to purify my water, and I probably need to have a farm, or I probably need to be friends with Debbie so that she could let me have her farm. and that's the age that we're living in. I feel like we have to definitely purify our water so that we can grow our own food, because nobody can. I mean, it's cool if you can spend $2.3 million for your family at Whole Foods for real food, for just regular normal food. I mean, obviously, there might be other local markets, but it's just the fact that a corporation that like that can charge that much for locally grown food already is kind of, you know, odd that that can actually happen without people. We don't know who the local farmers are. We're going to Whole Foods instead of You know what I mean? Not knowing where they're buying it from, and that's, you know, and that's, to me, that's kind of one of those things where I feel like if our water was pure and everybody was drinking and showering in pure water, we wouldn't skip that minor detail of the fact that Whole Foods is charging a premium for the people that are in your backyard growing pieces of grass, and you know what I mean, and selling it to you at a premium. And yeah, it's just, I feel like water purification, and our start of this would be using your energy to purify the water, and then you know, bootstrapping it from there and visualizing your next dream. I feel like water purification is key, and it's a mastery of that basic, and the master of the four elements, like Albert discussed. That's really going to push the needle, and I think that yeah, we can wrap this edition up of proclaiming your vision. And yeah, visit quantumstones.com. Got Albert, and yeah, his work is tremendous. A lot of books on there, a lot of information on there, very solid. I've already read some of the books on there, and it's the real deal. You got Debbie. She's an amazing healer. I recently got my first past life regression with Deb, and oh my gosh, I can't wait for our sessions in the future. She's an immaculate healer. And then we have Ryne, who is also an amazing healer and amazing YouTube anomaly. He's fucking one. And you know what I mean? He has his YouTube channel and his
Great Dreamtime Awakening.
yeah. What was the series that we did? We did Present Moment Conversation.
Emanating Sovereignty, Present Moment Conversations.
Yeah, and then
we're creating something under Great Dreamtime Awakening.
okay.
There'll be different videos with things that Sean's we're working together, and it's actually bigger than just the YouTube show, but we're gonna have different shows that we'll be posting now. There's already a few on there. Great Dreamtime Awakening. Okay.
Yeah, that's on YouTube.
Yeah, that's a channel. Great Dreamtime Awakening.
Oh, sweet.
So Debbie, you offer past life regressions like at distance?
Yeah, I do them on Skype, and they're very, very successful. There's no, like my thought is that there's no time and space, no difference. And I just get people to, I give them an email, or they can check on my website as to how to prepare for a session, and especially with Skype. But, you know, I do get one-on-ones here locally, but majority of my clients now are on Skype.
Okay. How can people like contact you if they're interested in getting a session with you?
They can go to my website, which is innerdimensionhypnotherapy.net. So it's innerdimensionhypnotherapy.net. That's my website. And there's a part on the bottom of my website there that they can email me directly.
Awesome.
If they don't want to go to my website, they can also email me to debsmart, SMARTT, @live.com.
Awesome. And yeah, she's amazing. Got different powers that she naturally has. Like, I don't know. But Sean, did you want to say anything, Sean?
Yeah, Sean.
Yeah, Sean.
Sure.
Come on, Sean.
I do healings, past life readings, reprogramming and upgrading the body, and looking at the different presence people hold inside themselves that's passed down the DNA lineage and light body lineage of all their lives. You can reach me at info@silvercord.com, info@silvercordss.com, at silvercordss.com, and you can reach my assistants. That's the fastest way to get a hold of me, and also on Facebook. And we have a YouTube, Silvercord Spiritual Science, and there's lots of free videos up for there if you want to see us. And we'll be collaborating more with these fine, lovely people here.
Yeah.
And hopefully more of these shows. And I'll be good.
Thanks, Sean. So you can reach me at abrahabrahanu@gmail.com. Wholereflections.com is my website. I do consulting. I do energy healing. I just contact me and hit me up, and that will be our show. I'm shooting for the next show to be May 6th, and that. Thank you for watching, and if you've watched this far, you are.
Dude, I'm gonna be so hungover from Cinco de Mayo, man. Are you sure on the 6th? Just kidding.
Yeah. Maybe I was just trying to say I was adding 5 plus 6 plus 11 plus 2018, and that was like it's like 11:11. But I mean, it's still fraud time, so that would be the next shooting date, and let's just get off the air and recap. And thanks guys for watching the show. Peace.